How do you top your love for your cat? With a cascade of decadent savory gravy over a mouth-watering mousse pâté. Fancy Feast gems. 2 gourmet pâtés in one convenient pack. Simply peel and plate to reveal a pyramid shape that makes eating delightful and pamper her with an experience as extraordinary as she is. Turn the everyday into the extraordinary with Fancy Feast gems.
Today on CityCast Boise. Our recent ranking as one of the least stressed cities is getting some side-eye from us this week as we discuss the 9-hour debate over Interfaith Sanctuary's new shelter. Meanwhile, another West Ada student has filed a racial discrimination lawsuit. Plus, a new walking tour shines a light on Boise's forgotten history of sex work. It's Friday, July 11th. I'm Lindsay Van Allen, and this is what Boise's talking about. Happy Friday once again, everyone. And joining me to break down the latest stories around the Treasure Valley this week is our executive producer, Frankie Barnhill. Thank you for being here, Frankie.
Happy to be here, Lindsay. Let's get into it.
Yeah, always a pleasure to hear what you have to say about the latest in Boise. And it seems like the biggest story of the week is actually kind of like a Franken story of 3 or 4 stories converging. We've got the Interfaith Sanctuary Shelter, which was approved by the Zoning Commission again after a 9-hour public hearing. And we're going to get into that because there's a lot to that. That was 9 hours that we've got to condense. But then also the Galloway law, where cities with over 100,000 people now have to ticket or have some kind of a punishment for people who engage in outdoor camping, also went into effect. And it just seems like nobody quite knows what to do right now. There's a lot of new things happening. Everything's in motion. So you mentioned that you actually watched a significant portion of this public hearing, and I'm so curious to get your thoughts on it. I saw little clips.
Yeah.
It felt very NIMBY for Boise. Or maybe sure. Boise NIMBY. What were your thoughts on that? What did it seem like the major contentions or major points were about approving this shelter?
Yeah, you did a great rundown. For me, mostly my main feeling as a journalist who's covered this over the years was deja vu, because I've seen a very long couple of meetings in the past. In 2022, of course, the Planning and Zoning Commission actually denied the initial application from Interfaith Sanctuary to move to State Street, but then the city council overruled them, which ended up in a lawsuit, which ended up at the state Supreme Court, which ended up with the state Supreme Court ruling in favor of the Veterans Park Neighborhood Association. And so the city council had to change their laws. There was all this wonky stuff that's happened in the background just to even make it possible for them to be in front of planning and zoning again.
Well, and construction had started on the shelter, right?
Yes. They were thinking this would be up in 2023, 2024. And here we are, halfway through 2025, and it's still not fully built because of these objections from the Neighborhood Association, Veterans Park, and the many legal entanglements. So, yeah, as far as what happened, it was unanimously passed by the Planning and Zoning Commission this week, but not without plenty of public comment. And prior to the public comment, lots of pointed back and forth between Interfaith's attorneys and leadership and the leader of the Neighborhood Association, Katie Decker. And multiple times throughout, the chair of the Planning and Zoning kind of had to be a referee between the two of them. And even I kind of felt like I was watching a therapy session at some points, because he actually said okay, we're going to do this, but you guys need to go into mediation to figure out some of these finer points around some safety stuff, different elements that the Neighborhood Association continues to bring up as major concerns for this shelter being in their neighborhood.
Didn't he even say at one point, "Don't make me make you hug"?
Yes.
It was very contentious.
Yeah, totally. And it was again, though, this is nothing new. This is a long-standing conflict between these two groups. And yeah, I would say overall, it was a very classic NIMBY, not in my backyard, versus YIMBY, yes in my backyard kind of hearing, with some nuances. And To me, it feels like this is moving obviously toward it's going to probably happen. I think it will happen, probably, although, ask me in 4 months with the next lawsuit or something. But again, not without probably another appeal or other lawsuits next to have to go to the city council. So more to come, but yeah, it's overlaying, our homeless crisis is growing as our housing affordability continues to be an issue. And then, as you mentioned, this new law, because of course, when the legislature passes all their laws in the spring, most of them don't go into effect right away. Most of them go into effect July 1st. Well, here we are. It's July 11th, and they're all in place now, including this one that was very much targeting Boise and other cities over population of 100,000. What do you think of this law and how it's been? I mean, it's brand new, so we'll see what it actually does in effect. But of course, folks on the side of homelessness advocacy are really upset about this and do not like this law at all.
Okay, I'll preface this by saying I'm not a fan because I do feel like the entire point of this was to target Boise, potentially Meridian, Nampa, some of these other cities. But, how many cities in Idaho have greater than 100,000 people? Not that many. In fact, we spent the holiday over in the eastern part of the state, and I was joking with family members. We were talking about setting up a tent or something, and I was like, oh, we got to be careful about, the camping laws. We'll get fined. And I was like, oh, wait, just kidding. This is Rexburg. They're not trying to target Rexburg. They're just trying to target Boise. So yeah, this law, I call it the Galloway Law. Because it was brought by Senator Cody Galloway. So Boise has decided that they're just going to have a $10 ticket. Just keep it, a simple ordinance, $10 ticket. Now, I'm not saying that there aren't problems with that because there are issues people will face trying to pay the fine or trying to navigate that. It again, great barriers for people who are experiencing homelessness or who are unhoused that, they're trying to navigate a system that is not designed for them, but it is about the lowest fine the city could do. So they're not trying to be punitive. I do appreciate that. And I think this ties in with what we're seeing with the interfaith shelter because that is the only low barrier shelter in the city. And so with this new law, even if there are no shelter beds available, even if there's nowhere for a person to go, they will still be cited for sleeping, which is something every human has to do at some point in a 24-hour period of time. And so people will be fined for having to just do basic activities of daily living, which I don't find humane. But the issue with this low barrier shelter and where, we have to, at some point, you can't say we're going to fine people for sleeping, which is something they have to do. And we don't want a low barrier shelter. And the importance of a low barrier shelter is, I know we'd love a perfect world where everyone who is homeless just because they just recently lost their job and they have no issues or mental health issues or substance issues in their life, but that's not real life. And so with the low barrier shelter, even if they have an addiction, even if they're facing mental health issues, they can still have access to a shelter. And these low barrier shelters do not separate families. And so an issue we're finding as more and more families become unhoused or homeless in the Treasure Valley is their option is to face a fine for camping in their car, staying in their car, camping outside, or the families get separated, which creates issues for families. And so with these low barrier shelters, they get to stay together as a family. So having access to a space where you can stay with your family, you're not separated, but also trying to dodge these camping fines. Like, I don't know, Frankie, I want to get your perspective on this because it feels like we're squeezing and squeezing and squeezing. And at some point, something has to give. Either we have to have a low barrier shelter or we have to decide that we're going to functionally work with people who are facing homelessness because homelessness is increasing in this area. We're seeing it as the cost of rent goes up, as wages are not necessarily keeping up. Like that is a bigger and bigger issue for more and more people in this area. Like something has to give, and just finding them for sleeping is not necessarily a functional answer.
Yeah, it's a really interesting point. And I do think that, the way the city is approaching this and an answer to this law is, yes, as you said, this $10 fee that in some ways, I mean, it's incredibly low. However, of course, there might be some folks who can't even muster $10. Of course, that's why they're homeless, potentially. But I will say that it seems like, Chief Dennison, Police Chief Dennison said to KTVB that it's essentially, yes, removing discretion that his officers previously had about, how to help someone, how to enforce laws, how to make sure that public safety is ensured. And of course, we know that that's what the legislature wanted. They wanted to force Boise to do things that Boise didn't necessarily want to do and was trying to find other solutions to it. Of course, the mayor's been a big advocate of the housing first model for a long time. But, that's incredibly expensive. And so this need for more shelter beds is not going away in the interim in this time. And, the new interfaith sanctuary, one of the main things that was new about it was besides the fact that families could stay together in these rooms and it'd be more comfortable for them, it's also for a lot of folks who are medically fragile, who might be the types who would prefer to sleep in their car, or it's safer for them to sleep in their car. It's better for them to sleep in their car. They're able to control their surroundings a little bit more. And so, it feels like rock and hard place between these two things, though I think that the city's approaching this as best they can, given what the legislature's making them do.
Well, and something that Chief Dennison cited when talking about this fine is that already the effort so far has cost BPD $227,000 in overtime. So Boise, how do you feel about that? How do you feel that the Galloway law has already cost you $227,000 in overtime? Boise, you're paying for this. You're paying to cite people for camping, this really low fee, but it's costing you also in the fees you're paying for overtime.
I suppose we'll see how Boise responds as this law goes into force even more. Again, this is only a week and a half into this law being officially implemented. We'll see what happens next, but probably some more legal entanglements. I think we can probably bet on that.
Are you looking for a way to keep your kids challenged, engaged, and genuinely excited to learn? This summer, trade screen time for real-world wonder. Summit Innovations is where Boise kids of all ages explore through immersive hands-on STEM camps designed to spark creativity, curiosity, and critical thinking. Your child will engage in hands-on experiments, coding, and play designed all around the theme that changes each week, from space exploration to AI to robotics, engineering, circuits, Minecraft, and more. These camps are aligned with next-generation science standards, and they prioritize low student-to-instructor ratios to ensure every student feels supported and included. Summer camps will be running throughout the summer, and the fall schedule for day-off school camps and after-school activities will be released on July 21st. You can check out both at summitinnovationlab.com and grab your child's spot before they're gone. That's summitinnovationlab.com.
This episode is brought to you by Chevrolet. Chevy certified service technicians are factory trained to fit your vehicle with the tires specifically developed for it. And with our tire price match guarantee, you get the best fit for the best deal. Let us do the work. Available on select eligible tire brands at participating dealers only. Offer ends 12/31/2025. Terms apply. See dealer for complete details. Visit Chevrolet.com/service to learn more.
Well, Frankie, in keeping with the theme of this episode, because it is after July 1st, another Idaho law went into effect that would ban banners and flags that are not just the U.S. flag, the Idaho state flag, anything that is political, has to do with society, religion, economics, oddly enough. Anything like that is now banned in Idaho schools as long as it is a rectangle or a square on paper or fabric. This also includes children's artwork. And so, so I know I
didn't realize that.
Yeah. When we're banning children's artwork, if it deals with how they feel about society or their emotions, I don't know, guys, what are we even doing at this point? What are we trying to protect the children from? Themselves? So anyways, that the flag that teacher Sarah Inama had at West Ada School District that said everyone is welcome here, with the hands, with the hearts, multiracial hands, that is now not allowed in any school in Idaho, regardless of how a teacher feels about it, according to this law and according to what the Idaho Department of Education clarification on this law meant. Now, I bring this up because it just so happens that a student at Eagle High School in West Ada School District just filed a claim of racial discrimination by her basketball coach. And this is not the first claim of racial discrimination at this particular high school in West Ada School District this year. There have been 3 others. Frankie,
yeah,
what's going on here? What's happening?
Oh,
Not,
wow.
In the entire state now, but particularly in West Ada, this seems to be an issue that keeps popping up.
Yeah, West Ada's PR team must be working overtime right now. Of course, they're not commenting on this because it's pending litigation. But KTVB did this story and talked with the 17-year-old Brooke Vargas is her name, and her parents or family about this claim. And yeah, I mean, the details of it, oh gosh, I definitely feel for this this kid who's gone through hell. I mean, it just sounds pretty gross, to be honest, to me. There were things like, for example, and one of the things that she notes is that this coach, Jeremy Monroe, according to the claim and according to her, used one of his assistants, was talking about, actually Monroe was saying to grip the basketball tight enough to see, quote, white fingertips. And then Brooke claims that one of his assistant coaches said to her then, she's Hispanic, should be noted, and said, or brown fingertips, and then started laughing. Really upsetting stuff. There were multiple other things. What else stood out to you, I guess, with this story and with these claims of racial and inappropriate comments from her coaches?
What stood out to me were the similarities between the other case that came out in August 2024, so a little less than a year ago. Other students from Eagle High School said the same thing, that there were comments made about their race, jokes made about their race, where it was very clear, like, they were the only student of color, Black student, Hispanic student. And so the comments were directed at them. Everyone would laugh. And then they were like, oh, it's just a joke. It's just, just chill out about it. And so it seemed like this is a trend. I also thought it was very interesting how both Brooke and these other students said that they went to administration with, evidence of what had happened, pictures and testimony that really verified what they were saying, and that administration said there was nothing wrong. Brooke said that administration came back and said, hey, we found no wrongdoing. We don't have any evidence of your claims. This is what the other students said. And in light of what has happened this school year with West Ada School District, where they said that this everyone is welcome here sign, that this sign wasn't necessary. Nobody's feeling discriminated against, but that the issue was the multiracial hands. Like, how many times does this have to keep being an issue? Like, West Ada School District, nobody can stop you from punching yourself in the face. Like, you're doing this to yourself at this point.
Yeah, totally. And one of the I think it was the kind of the kicker to the story was that apparently Brooke has recently tried out for, it's going to be her senior year. She tried out for the team. And according to her family says that she has an offer to play in college, but she was put on the JV team at Eagle High, which doesn't really add up to me.
After she'd been playing varsity for years.
It really does feel like West Ada just, as you said, just can't figure it out. Can't seem to get beyond these issues and really address these problems. And it's we'll see what happens in the legal proceedings. But regardless, it sounds like another family that's very upset and has been put through hell.
Absolutely. And for this district that's saying we don't have an issue with this. Yes, everybody's welcome. I don't feel like they could make that claim earlier, and I definitely don't feel like they can make that claim now. And I say that as a parent who lives in this district. Like,
right? Yeah.
No, when you keep having tort claim after tort claim that students are experiencing racism, and then they're claiming that administration is, investigating themselves and finding no wrongdoing. And I also thought it was very interesting, one last point, that in the article about Brooke, that she said, teachers, administration, just laugh it off. It's just a joke. It's just your opinion. And that is exactly what the administration told teacher Sarah Inama about her "Everyone is Welcome Here" poster, that it's just her opinion. So that seems to be what they fall back on when they get caught in a sticky corner is, well, it's just your opinion, which is such a cop-out. It's very frustrating. And I do hope, as these cases keep coming to light, with the scandal about the sign, that families in West Ada, come on, fellow West Ada families, we can't let this go. Every student should be feeling welcome in our schools. And if they're not, that's a problem we need to be fixing expeditiously.
Yeah. And I'm glad you brought up teacher Sarah Inama. I don't think we've talked about this in the podcast, but she officially did get a job with the Boise School District. Did you see that?
Yeah.
So because she resigned her position in West Ada, which of course, that's her prerogative. And you had a really moving conversation with her about that decision. And now she's moving to the Boise district. But not everybody can, obviously pick up their family and move to the Boise district. Like, every district needs to address these issues as they come up.
Hey, it's Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. Now, I was looking for fun ways to tell you that Mint's offer of unlimited premium wireless for $15 a month is back. So I thought it would be fun if we made $15 bills. But it turns out that's very illegal. So there goes my big idea for the commercial. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. New customer offer for first 3 months only. Speed slow after 35 gigabytes if network's busy. Taxes and fees extra. See mintmobile.com.
Welcome to Sephora. I'm looking for a perfume that's not too perfumey. I got you.
Serum moisturizer or moisturizer serum.
Let's get into layering.
My concealer is making me look worse.
Sounds like the wrong shade. Let's get you matched.
There's only one store that really gets what you're going for. Get beauty from people who get beauty. Only at Sephora.
Hi, Let's get you a basket.
Okay, Frankie, those were definitely heavy and complicated, nuanced topics. So I'm curious, what is your pick of the week? Is it something that will kind of like take our mind off things, or what are you doing this weekend?
You know what? What I'm doing right now is looking at this survey, this study that came out, and breathing in and breathing out deeply, because apparently Boise is the 10th least stressed city in America, according to Wallet Hub. They took 182 cities and ranked according to a bunch of different things. They looked at things like, average work hours per week, traffic congestion, divorce rate, poverty rate, job security, unemployment, sleep, apparently. And according to them, Boise came out as one of the least stressed places in the country. So, Lindsay, how's your stress level right now on a scale of 1 to 10? 1 being least stressed, 10 being, you're on fire.
Well, that is kind of ironic considering our conversation for the past 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Has anybody from Wallet Hub ever been here?
I
That's
know.
my question. Like, what? How is this being ranked? Who did they ask, first of all? 1 to 10. Let's see. 10 is if I'm on fire.
Yeah.
Is this just Boise stuff, just Idaho stuff, or like national stuff too?
I mean, it's supposed to be just Boise in general. So,
okay.
yeah.
Okay. Like 7.8. Like, I wouldn't say I'm not stressed, but
I mean, I don't think they asked. And when you read local news, how does it make you feel?
I was
when
going to
you
say,
read
like,
Idaho, what's coming out of the Idaho legislature, how stressed does it make you?
I was going to say, how dialed in were the people that they were asking? Because I don't know. I maybe know too much. I might skew things a bit.
And a lot of this is going off census data, right? So it's not like they're interviewing a bunch of people and, looking at traffic congestion as it relates to other cities. And I mean, I will say just, anecdotally, personally, I looked at some other cities that I've lived in. And when I thought about it, the other cities I've lived in are higher on the ranking, aka they're more stressed to one degree or another than Boise. And I do remember when I first moved to Boise feeling less stressed overall, just like mostly those quality of life things generally, less traffic, easier to get around. But then, then you start being plugged in more to the community sometimes. And depending on, I don't know who you are, your privilege in life, et cetera, things can change. But on the scale of just like we love to talk about traffic and how bad it is. It is getting worse in the Treasure Valley, but it's certainly not as bad as plenty of other cities on this scale. I should say that Nampa actually showed up as one of the least stressed cities as well, which I thought was kind of funny.
I do have to say, I mean, we do have a lot of great recreational things.
Yeah,
so maybe
de-stress.
That does help a lot. Yeah, where it's I can go take a walk in the foothills. I can, you can go recreate that stress away. So maybe that does help because we're ranked pretty well on we're in pretty good health overall.
Yes, physical health
city.
is part of it.
And that seems to have been a big marker for it. And I do think, yes, we have lots of great outdoor opportunities, really close recreation. And so maybe that counterbalances some of it where it's you're aware, but it's I'll go in nature and calm down a little bit.
I mean, that is kind of the experience, right? That's literally what we do, certainly in the summer, what so many people do. So anyway, I take these things with a grain of salt, but I thought it was kind of funny and interesting, and I wanted to throw it your way. So that was mine. Lindsay, what's your pick of the week?
Okay, my pick of the week is a new history walking tour just dropped. I'm a big fan of these. I love history, and I kind of love the salacious history of Boise. I think it's kind of fun. We're kind of a buttoned up city, America's family city, whatever. And it's fine. It's great. But we were a Wild West town, and it's really fun to hear some of that history and really what were Boise's roots? What was it really like without this kind of cleaned up image that we have right now? And I'm particularly interested in this walking tour. It's also done by Ida History's Mark Iverson. And I've taken a few of his walking tours, and he always hints at the districts where there was, sex work or sex workers. And that was a really integral part of early Boise. Where City Hall is, that was kind of a red light district. And that was where business was happening, where deals were happening. It was, the lifeblood of the city, whether you agree with it or not. That's just how Western cities worked. And so this walking tour is titled Harlots, Heroines, and Hustlers, A History of Boise's Sex Trade. And you're going to learn about all kinds of different things that happened. And he even teases about a death in front of Boise's old city hall because of temperance versus a biblical afternoon. I don't know.
Whoa.
Yeah. Yes. No, I'm locked in. I'm ready. Anyways, Mark is hilarious. These tours are so much fun. I always walk away from them and you won't see Boise the same. You're going to look at the buildings differently. You're going to think about the city differently. Wow. And it is fun to learn about this forgotten buried history that is what made Boise, Boise. So anyway, that's my pick of the week. I love a walking tour. I'm really interested in this walking tour. So
nice.
That's what I'll be doing this weekend.
Oh my God. I totally want to do this tour sometime. That sounds so fun. I love, and it's so fascinating. As you said, it's the architecture is even somehow influenced can be by these stories. I mean, this Wild West stuff. Oh yeah, let's do it. That sounds so fun.
Yeah, I was going to say, definitely if you get a chance, stop by because it's so much fun. There are several, if this isn't maybe a topic you're interested in or a walking tour you want to go on, Mark has several different other tours, some in the evenings, some where you can go get drinks. So there's a lot of different tours for a lot of different things you might be interested in. But anyway, I had to let listeners know a new tour just dropped. I'm super excited about it.
Yeah, I'm so glad you flagged this for us. That's a really good pick.
Well, Frankie, thank you so much. I hope we're all feeling less stressed, like
yes.
Wallet Hub said we should be.
Yes.
Maybe it can be a placebo effect. Where I'll be like, Wallet Hub said I'm not stressed, and I'll feel better. So, anyways, thank you for joining me for this Friday News Roundup.
I mean, I feel more zen. So thank you so much.
That's all for today here on CityCast Boise. The show is produced by Evelyn Avitia, Frankie Barnhill, and me, Lindsay Van Allen. Blake Hunter writes our Hey Boise newsletter with help from Natalia Aldana and Francisco Kilgore this week. Our music is by Up Is the Down Is The and All the Kimonos. If you enjoyed our show today, leave us a review. It helps other people find us. We'll be back on Monday with a look at the future of Boise bike bars. You won't want to miss it.